Ooh, gotta stop that. So how are we all today? Popping in for our usual show on a Saturday morning. Just let me turn my volume down just a touch on me. Let me know too whether the audio and everything's okay coming through, because I'm setting it up. You can see the audio actually is from here. I'm logged in. I can network it, which is lucky, but I'm just sort of making sure everything's okay. Now I need to move that over too. Now I'm doing another test too today to see if I can stream in 4K again. So let's see how it goes today and holding up. At the moment, it's holding up okay. So we're going to see how it goes anyway. But let me just pull up the chat and see who's here. So we've got Steve is saying greetings all. Ike's here early today, Ike. Good to see you here, buddy. Yeah, that location, and someone else mentioned it below, is it's on the southern coast of Australia. It's called the 12 Apostles, all those areas. It's just stunning. It is so beautiful down that way. I love going down there. I'm going to go back again soon and do some more filming, actually. You need to come over, like, one time and I can take you all around. It's such stunning location, though. It really is beautiful. I love it. He says the Z9 King is in the house. Barry said, good morning. Nivak said, good morning, David. Are those cliffs on the southern coast of Australia? Yep. It's all down the sort of 12 Apostles, all that way. It's just beautiful. It's about, I think it's around about 2 hours from me, an hour and a half, 2 hours from me to get there. So it's not too far. I mean, it's just beautiful. It is the shipwreck coast, Craig just said. I'm drinking coffee again today, guys. It's been sitting there a while. It's got bands on it. Let's keep going down, find out who's here. Like I said, Barry said good morning. Newek said audio and video all good here. Well, that's good. Greg said shipwreck coast. Yep. Sup, players? Dan said hello from Lauder. Is it Lauderdale? Mark also said hello from the Gold Coast as well. So we've got a few in already. Been quite a busy week actually for me. I've got to try and get and do some more videos. I've been that busy trying to set this whole thing up lately and do other things. I did a couple of big dance shoots. A dance sort of shoot in the studio. Oh, check! I'll show you my studio. Let me see if I can bring it up. Is it there? No. I was going to show you the studio. Oh, I might have to do that next week because I've got a camera now hooked up directly into the studio. I think I have to change a setting on the camera in the studio to see if it works. But I might do that next week with you. So I can beam straight to the studio and do all things like that now, which is great. So, I'm getting a really interesting setup now as well. I do have my new switcher, which means I can now bring 20 inputs in. That's how I'm able now to do all of these extra switching things that I'm going to be doing in the future. So I've got some exciting things like showing you studio shoots, doing all things like that now are going to be coming on live, particularly for the members. I've opened up a membership on YouTube. So if you did want to join that, it would be amazing. And I'm going to do some extra sort of things through the memberships now, like I said, live shoots, some extra live chats and things like that. I do have a Patreon account, and thank you so much for the people that are in that. But I'm probably going to end up asking them to move into the membership if they can, because it's just going to be easier to sort everything out. So, I am drinking coffee now. No more alcohol for me for a while because it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, as you can see, 9:24. Because of daylight savings, the time difference ends up being 2 hours between here and the US. So I'll have to wait until summer again, get back into my Coronas and things like that. Nivak said all good. Where are we? Oh, Mark said, yeah, down there. And Canon R7 killing it. Looks like a pretty good camera, actually. I'm going to talk about that in the first story today. So let's get started because I want to bring that up. Let me just see if I can switch over to Super Source. And so here it is. So basically what it is, Canon have announced two new cameras. So there's the R7 and the R10 cameras. And they're sort of bringing APS-C to the RF mount is what they're sort of calling it. So they are quite a small camera, and it's hard to get an idea of these cameras until you have a look at the actual size with them in a hand. So it is a little bit different when you see it. They are actually quite small, so they're definitely like what you would expect with an APS-C camera. But they do seem to be really well featured. Oh, by the way, too, I did put my A6-400 in for repair in Sony Pro Support. Sony Pro Support are amazing. And they got back to me late yesterday, and unfortunately it's going to be $500 to fix it. So, I mean, look, here in Australia, the Americans are going to freak out when I say that, but here in Australia, it's actually, the camera's worth, I think, $1,500. So, it's worth me fixing it. You know, I mean, I'd have to pay out another, $1,500 if I wanted to just replace it. So I am getting it fixed. It'll be a few days. If it's any longer than that, they'll send me a replacement one. I do love having it. I love the A6-400, and in fact, I love the ZV-E10 too, which I'm using now to record me here. But I like having the A6-400 as a backup camera, and even sometimes I do stills with it. So I'm looking forward to getting it back. So they're sort of that and the A6-600 are the direct competition to these sort of R7 and R10 cameras. And I wanted to talk to you today about whether you think it's time now that Sony updated the APS-C cameras to compete with these. And we'll go through what these cameras have, and then we can have a little discussion about that, because I thought it's interesting. So they released two of them. There's an R7 and a R10. They're saying in here too that the R10 brings Rebel-like. It's basically replacing the Rebel cameras that were there. But let me just come down here and show you a little bit about the R7 particularly, because I think that's the one that, it's, well, I don't know. I'm going to read this with you. I haven't read this article yet, so I'm going to read it with you and just see what it says. But it just says here it's a successor to both the 90D and the 7D, although Canon says that neither of these cameras are currently being discontinued. Well, they will be. I mean, look, it's only a matter of time before they discontinue these. So, we've just got to wait. And they'll go full, definitely on mirrorless in the, coming sort of years or whatever, next couple of years, I would say. It features a 32.5 megapixel sensor, so that's definitely much bigger than the Sony 24 megapixel sensor, and it has a 1.6 times crop factor, and that's what the APS-C crop has. Now, that's a good thing. Look, there's a couple of ways of looking at this. The crop factor sometimes can be a pain if you're after really wide footage, but if you're after reach, sometimes having full frame and also crop mode is a real advantage, because it does give you much more reach. It's not stacked nor a backside illuminated sensor. Now, I don't know if this is a new sensor or not then, so perhaps this is an older sensor, and that's an interesting thing. So it looks like it may not be a brand new sensor that they're putting on this, so whether it's ones that they've used from previous cameras, we'll have to wait and see. But it can shoot 15 frames per second in mechanical shutter mode and up to 30 frames per second in electronic mode. So these are areas where it's definitely beating the Sony APS-C cameras, and this is why I think, looking at this part now, Sony may have to do an answer to this. But anyway, we'll keep looking at it, see what they say coming down here. Then there's no... It's going to be interesting to see if there's any talk here about how fast it is. It's not a stacked sensor or anything like that, so I'm not sure how fast this sensor will be for silent shutter. That remains to be seen, I suppose, when we see how it performs. It features two UHS-2 SD card slots, is dust and moisture resistant. See, that again is much better than what Sony has to offer in the fact that you can put two card slots into this, or two cards. That's one thing where, I do get a little bit nervous sometimes with the Sony due to the fact it only has the one card in it. So that's a really nice feature. And it uses the LPEN6NH battery, which is the same that powers the R5 and the R6. It also features Canon's new multi-function hot shoe, so it'd be similar to what Sony have with the hot shoe that's there that you can connect electronic components to, which is really good, actually. Now, this is the look at the back here. You can see it's sort of like a mini, R6 or something like that. That's the way it looks to me when you look at it. A nice little jog sort of wheel up here that you can use. The ergonomics look pretty good. I did notice too, and I have to laugh because I did try to find on Sony Alpha Rumors this morning and even Canon what the HDMI input is, and it's a micro HDMI input. I mean, come on. Seriously. That is one thing I just hate. I hate that micro HDMI. I just wish all cameras would get rid of that. But I noticed they're not showing any of that, so they don't want people really to know. But it is listed in the specs. I just checked this morning before we went live, actually, and it is listed in the specs. So it's a micro HDMI. You've got a mic input here. This is probably where you attach... Oh, well, I'm not sure what that is, actually. You've got HDMI, you've got USB-C and headphone socket down here. I believe you can stream direct with this camera. That's what I looked at this morning when I looked at the specs. The screen at the back is a fold-out, fully articulating screen, so that's really nice. And another thing too, it would be much, much better than what we have on Sony at this stage for like the A6000 series cameras, for instance. The A series cameras that are coming out for Sony have a much better screen, and hopefully all the new ones that come out will have that. So we should be able to pretty well match that, I would say. But the body itself, I think it looks quite nice. I did read somewhere that someone was saying when they were holding this, they had big hands and it was a little bit uncomfortable to hold. So it's definitely smaller than it looks. It looks like it's quite a big, digital SLR here, or like the R6, but it's not like that. It's smaller apparently. They're saying the company says that the autofocus system is inherited from the R3, and while it can shoot at the same speeds as Canon's current top-of-the-line sports shooters, it lacks backside illumination. Its functionality is the same, though. It features the same artificial intelligence like human, animal, vehicle recognition, for example. From what I've seen online, the autofocus detection is very, very good. Look, I think the autofocus detection now is a non-issue for all of the camera brands now, apart from Panasonic, the GH6 series. It's due to the way that they work. It's just not as good as what we're getting with the other manufacturers. So I think now that, like I said, it's a non-issue, this is going to be good enough for anyone, apart from perhaps if you wanted to do, say, high-end sports photography or perhaps capture birds in flights or something like that. It might struggle in that regard. But apart from that, it's probably going to be very good. Greg, I don't think it is that big. Greg just said body is enormous for an APS-C camera. I wish I could find one where someone's holding it because it's smaller than it looks. The company says that the autofocus system is inherited from the R3. I read that before. So I think the autofocus is going to be really nice. You can see it here attached to the 14 to 35. On the video, well, also, Greg, I should mention too that there is what you've got to understand here too is it's definitely not the size that the Sony APS-C camera is, and I love that aspect, but I love the fact that the Sonys are so small. On the video front, the R7 can shoot 4K at up to 60 frames per second. That is amazing. So that's terrific. The full widths of the sensor, which is oversampled from 7K resolution. So I would think looking at that, this is going to be a really, really nice camera, actually. It's going to have very good recording. It can also shoot in 10-bit. It can capture full HD footage at up to 120 frames. So you have to be in 1080p to get 120 frames per second. And it also has no 30-minute recording limit. Oh, good on you, Canon. You finally got rid of it. They seem to be getting rid of more and more of the cripple hammer. I love that word. Casey, thanks for that. They seem to be getting rid of that cripple hammer more and more. The R7 can also shoot Canon C-Log 3, though it cannot capture in RAW. I don't think that's an issue at this price range. I think it's about $1,400 or something US. So it's definitely dearer than what the Sony A6 600 is. Well, I should check that, actually. Let me just go in over here. I'm just going to go and see B&H. I'm just curious to see what the A6 600 is. Let me bring it up. A6. Oh no, that's a Canon mirrorless. 1,398. Actually, it's pretty close. So the price of this, because I think I read somewhere that it was going to be, oh no, it's here. Canon R7 will be available later this year, 1500 as body only. Well, there you go. Well, the Sony A6 600 is 1398 without a lens. I don't know whether I can drag that over, can I? Yeah. You can see there that it's $1,398. So it's actually pretty close. Interesting. What else is it saying? Cannot shoot RAW. Like I said, I don't think that's an issue for this sort of price range. If the camera were to be inadvertently shut off, the camera will finalise and save a clip before shutting down. That's terrific, actually, so it does keep saving, so you won't get that data loss or corruption. It'll be available later this year for $1,500 as a body, or $1,900 with the new RFS 18 to 150, so that will be the kit lens that will be coming out. Now that's that one. We'll also quickly look at the Canon Esr 10 too. So that one there is, it's the smaller brother of this, obviously. I'm just seeing if this is a 24.2 megapixel, so that's sort of competing with the A6000 series there. It's also got the 1.6 crop times factor. The sensor isn't stack side. It's basically the same as what the other sensor is, apart from the resolution. I think this will shoot up to 15 frames per second with manual shutter and 23 frames per second with electronic shutter. So it's a little bit less than what we've got with the other version. Again, the bodies, they look pretty similar. I think they're basically the same. It does have a pop-up flash, this one. I like that. I mean, I love that on the A6. I think the A6 400 still has that. I've got a blank. But I do really like that. Often I used to hold it up and I'd grab a thing up the top. No, I don't think it does now because the screen pops up at the top. It was the previous version, I think, the A6 300. Video performance is a tad less impressive than the R7 and the R10. It can shoot up to 4K at 30 frames per second. That is oversampled from 6K. And it's neither C-Log or RAW is offered. So this is definitely a much lower-ended model. The card also goes into here as well on this one, so it hasn't got the dual card function on this one. This one is 980 body only, or 1,100 with the new RF S lens as well. There is also a petapixel review of this. Did I put that in there? No. I'll leave the link down below as well, because there is a review of it, and they actually say it's probably the best APS-C camera that's available at the moment. But there's a few things here that I think Sony does need to do, and I'm sure they're going to do it. Sony definitely need to bring in something like the 4K 60. They definitely need that. And I think as well, I mean, look, I'm just scrolling back on here. I think as well, do you think, I know a lot of people would like a 30-odd megapixel file size. It does give you a little bit of more of ability to crop in. I like the 24, but it would be probably nice if you had that, I suppose, if you wanted to do some cropping. And it certainly would be much better for wildlife and things like that. You know, if you're doing sports and something and you haven't got the massive long lenses, at least you get that 1.6 crop factor that comes into it as well. But having the 4K 60, it's got the dual card slots. I think it's a pretty good release, and I do think that probably Sony have to put out an answer to this, particularly seeing that the R7 is almost the same price as the A6 600. Excuse me, a bit of a drink. Yes, I think that they probably need to do that. But let me know what you think. I'm just going to come over to the chat. Let me know in the chat if you think that this needs to be answered. I'm just curious. Canon R7 is killing it. Richard also said, greetings from Las Vegas, lovely intro. Thanks, Richard. Canon the R7 focus is as good as the Nikon Z9 according to Fro Knows Photo. Well, that's interesting. I haven't seen that video yet, but that's great. Like I said, I think autofocus is a non-issue now, though, to be honest, Mario. They're all really, really good. So I don't think it's a problem at all. Greg also said Aussie dollars are like Canadian dollars. Yeah, we're pretty similar, I think. We might be a fraction less. George said, greetings from New Jersey, where we could use a new updated Sony APS-C body. It'd be great if Sony gave us at least one APS-C body with 10-bit video. Canon APS-C owners would have to be very upset that they are changing their mount again. Yeah, that is a good point, actually, Greg. Body is enormous for an APS-C camera. Yeah, I did see one with someone holding it with a hand, and it didn't look too big, but it's definitely bigger than the Sony bodies, that's for sure. Can we expect Sony haters to start complaining that the new Canon APS-C body is too small for their big fingers and too toy-like for real professionals? I love it. Long Rider said buffer on the R7 is terrible. 30 frames per second for 1.2. Oh, is that all? Thanks for sharing that, Long Rider. That's interesting. You're not going to get much there, are you? It's awful. Camera manufacturers are all leaving off the top screen. I hope the soon-to-be-released Fuji X-H2 does not follow the others. Oh, yeah, the one on the top you're saying. No battery grip on these cameras. Well, I suppose the A6000 series has no battery grip either, so, I don't think that's a problem. A-Man is king. Rick just gave a thumbs up. What's that mean? It's not a flagship camera. Yeah, that's true. It's not a flagship camera. So, I mean, it's basically, like I said, like the A-series cameras, it's designed to be used for people that, well, want more reach. That's one thing, but also don't want to pay that money that you have to pay for full-frame cameras. So, yeah, it's definitely not a high-end camera in that regard, but the features are pretty high-end that's in it. I mean, I think for the price, it's actually very, very good. Let me just go back to this other one. So that's that, but I wanted to talk to you about this too. So let me know in the comments down below whether you think Sony have to answer this. I personally think it's about time that Sony did bring out more of a high-end camera. I wouldn't even mind if Sony released a APS-C camera that was in something like the A7C, the A7C body type thing, or an A7 III type body would be even pretty good. Just for the fact that, if they do need to add more components into this, like the dual card slots and things like that, stop it overheating. If they were doing 4K footage, for instance, I'd be happy for them to go up in a larger size body. So I think that'd be a great thing to do. I still wouldn't like them to get rid of the smaller cameras. Like I said, I love the A6 400 and I love the ZV-E10. So I'd still like to have the ability to be able to buy those. But I certainly wouldn't mind Sony to release a new camera body that's like the rumoured A7000, which would be a completely different sort of camera body. So that's that. Now, I also wanted to talk to you about this too, because there's rumours going around that the Canon EOS R1 will have 100 megapixels and it's coming in 2023. Now, there was, I think it was on the Sony Alpha site. There was a questionnaire in the Sony Alpha site, and I think it's here. No, it's not. There was one where you could answer a question that he'd put in. It said, do you want a Sony camera with 100? They were basically saying, do you want the A7R5, to be 100 megapixels? And it was about 80% said no, they wanted it to be 60-odd. So most Sony users looking at that were saying that they wanted to keep it around the 60 megapixels. They weren't that interested in going up to 100 megapixels. So that was an interesting scenario. But it looks like the Canon is chasing the high megapixels, that's for sure. I'm not going to go over this, but I'll leave the link down below. You can have a look yourself. But I just wanted to bring up that questionnaire that they put in on the Sony Alpha Rumours, which I thought was interesting that Mo said no, they didn't want 100 megapixels. Good news on the Sony A6 400 front as well. It's now going to start production again. Like I said, I've just put mine in for repair, $500. But I love it, so I've stuck it in. Oh, yeah, it does have the flash pop-up. I couldn't remember. Isn't that funny? I like the flash pop-up on this because you can actually hold it up and point it up to the ceiling and you can take shots. I mean, you can't use it when the screen's up, obviously. But I do really like it. And just as Phil, I mean, if you're in the audio's a bit peaky, is it? Let me just see if I can turn it down a bit. Audio. I'll turn it down a bit and see how we go. So testing 1, 2. Is that any better? I've pushed it down a bit. Let me know if it's still a bit peaky. And I'll turn it down just a little bit more. Let me know in the chat whether it's okay or not. Yeah, so yeah, I've paid for it to get fixed, like I said before, because the camera new here is $1,500. So I wanted to get something that was, you know, if I had to replace it, I'd have to sort of spend $1,500. So I did pay the $537. I think that's what it is. So I'll get it back next week, and I'm looking forward to getting back because I've missed my little A6 400. But they're saying last December, amidst ongoing chip shortages, Sony Japan announced it was ceasing production of its A6 400 APS-C mirrorless cameras. Now that's also like the ZV-E10 too. You can't buy that at the moment either. Let me know too in the chat, guys, because no one has answered yet whether the mic audio is okay. Just said too that it's still affecting the consumer electronic production around the globe. That's the chip shortage. It appears as though the supply chain is less constrained than it was at its peak. As Sony Japan has confirmed it will resume production of its A6 400 camera system coming up. So basically, if you look down here, they're saying on May the 26th, 2022, the product name is the A6 400. From May the 27th, we will resume accepting orders from distributors to us and orders from customers in the Sony store. So it looks like you're going to be able to order it. Now, we don't know yet how long it's going to be before you could get it in stock again, but at least it's available again now, and you're going to be able to restore it. Now, I did read down here that they said, in addition to the global semiconductor shortage, there was a fire at this factory, and it's this AKM Semiconductor. Now, it's an audio chip manufacturer, and they were saying that they use the ADCs or whatever they are. They use the components from this in most cameras, and this could be a really bad issue as well. And they're saying down here, yeah, ADCs being a component most likely to impact the camera production. A fire burned uncontrolled for 3 days and effectively destroyed the entire factory. So that certainly wouldn't help there, that's for sure. So that's it. So anyway, so hopefully now next one we'll get is the ZV-E10 will start to come back into stock because that is particularly a really good camera. And then we should hopefully see all the other things starting to pick up, I'm hoping, by the end of this year. So I just thought I'd mention that. Can't wait to get mine back. Oh, here, I did have it. It was further on. This was the one where it's saying Canon might launch a 100-plus megapixel camera in late 2022. And this was the poll that they did. And it just said, should Sony join the A7 5 race? And it's down here where they were saying... it was 1,388 votes for saying stick to new 61 megapixels, or they were saying 480 said a new higher resolution pixel. So it looks like people are after around that 50, 60 megapixel. They think that's the sweet spot. So, I mean, you've got to consider storage. You have to consider everything else. So, you know, like if you look at that aspect of it, 100 megapixels is really big. I certainly don't think I'd want to be shooting up there. I mean, I know some will, but I wouldn't want to. Just in some rumours too out that there's also APS-C E-mount lens trio is going to be announced sometimes in June, they're saying. So these are going to be the Sony lenses, probably the G lenses. They're saying down here that there could be an 11 millimeter f1.8, which will be a 17 mil equivalent. That's terrific. A 15 1.4, 22 mil equivalent, and a 10 to 20 millimeter f4. That's a 15 to 30 millimeter full frame equivalent as well. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, I love my 10 millimeter, 10 to 14 millimeter zoom lens that I have, but I'd love to have a faster lens of that. An 11 mil would be pretty cool. I'd like it a fraction wider than that though, if I could get it. 10 might be good. But anyway, 11 millimeters is good, at least where they're looking like they're going to produce some APS-C lenses again. So, that's a plus. And another thing down here too was Sigma are also patenting, they've found that they patented 3 lenses, which is a 35 millimeter, a 40 millimeter, and a 50 millimeter, but they're all 1.2 lenses. I'm not sure what's going to be different about this than the 35 1.2 that they've got already. So I don't know. New version, but that's not that old, that lens. Go ahead and do it. We need a low-cost alternative to the Sony 51.2. That's a beautiful lens, that 51.2 for Sony. But again, you know, we're going to have more lenses popping up. We've certainly blessed now in the lens department, that's for sure. Now, let me just switch over to me. Now, let me just put the hyperdeck on there. So let's open up to some Q&A because I've finished the news. Like I said, there's not much news at all. With the chip shortage at the moment, there's very, very little news on that front. But, you know, we've had a couple of interesting discussions that we've been able to go through today. Actually, we've even gone longer than I thought we would. I thought we would have only made half an hour at the most. Let me just see back here where we're up to. So fire away if you have any questions, guys. Let me just get rid of that. Now it's saying too that the stream is healthy, so it looks like it's been good. It should be broadcasting in 4K, so it looks like it's been glitch free by the look of it. I love George just said we could use that new APS-C body. Matt said it'd be great if Sony gave us at least one APS-C body with 10-bit video. I think I played that before. I agree, Greg. I mean, it's not good that they keep changing the mount size. That's the one thing we've been blessed, haven't we, with Sony, that we can use the same mount size for everything. And that has been a terrific thing. I use full frame lenses on my APS-C all the time, and often I use the APS-C lenses on the full frame. Oh, I read these before. Let me come down a little bit more. Jaded Filmmakers here. G'day, Phil. How are you, buddy? Another good Aussie YouTuber. Check Phil out. Steve Seg, Sony needs to bring out a APS-C camera with a stacked sensor. I know, how amazing would that be if they did that? That would just be so good, Steve. I agree. Canon is going to dominate from now on. They have a high megapixel in the pipeline. Well, I don't know if they're going to dominate. I mean, I think Canon, Sony, Nikon I was worried about, but boy, they've pulled out an amazing camera with the Z9, so hopefully they can keep doing that now, and then Nikon, I think, will be fine. So I think all the camera manufacturers at this stage are going to be okay. Hi, David, your audio is only coming out of my left speaker. Oh. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's showing it stereo. Hang on, let me check. 1, 2. All right, let me check something for you. The interesting thing is that it's showing stereo on my monitors there. But I'm wondering if it's just my in-ear monitors. Is anyone else... Well, let me check it. Hang on, I'm going to open up a YouTube thing and I'll do... Oh, I can't. I wonder it'll block me. Let me just do a test here. I think I can do it through here, actually. Mic. So that should be... I'm just trying to see if it's coming out of both ends, both speakers. Why is that showing that? Check that now. Is that okay now? I'm just trying to get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. Testing 1, 2. It's definitely coming out of both sides. I've changed something up there, though. Is anyone else hearing mono? Just let me know in the chat, because I'd have to... I fixed it earlier, did I? Oh, okay. I wonder what it was then. Oh, that's weird. And I just changed something, so I'm not sure what I just did. I love it. I hope I didn't just stuff something up, because I just changed something a minute ago. That's on... That's nothing. That's okay, that's okay. I'm just looking down here. Let me check that to make sure they're both coming out separate channels. Yep, that's a fine. Yeah, I think it's all right. I'll just keep going. I think it's okay. Canon is back on top with all these awesome releases. They are good, can't they? I mean, look, you know, I'm a Sony user, but you have to give it to Canon when they release something good, just like I say when Nikon releases something good. And they are a good release, and I think Sony probably need to answer it. And the lenses are terrific. I agree, Ike, they are. With Sony wide array of lenses, they should not feel pressed to answer Canon's offering. Nikon spent Canon bad with the Z9. The Z9 is an amazing camera. The Unknown said the audio was a bit peaky. I think I've fixed it now, though. They have decent processors and figured out overheating. Yes, that's true. And also, they don't limit it with that, the time limit that they always sort of limited it of. Ike said, I have a video coming out on Monday of me using the Sony E-mount lenses on my Z9, and it works flawlessly. You know, the thing is too, Ike, I did read this morning somewhere, it might have been on Petapixel or DP Review, there's a new adapter that's come out that they say works very, very well with the Sony lenses on the Nikon cameras. So, interesting. Alan said Sony. Make it up, crap the code. Audio is great. Juicy said I've fixed the audio, I think. I think Ike's talking to someone else. Ike, did I see Red is suing Nikon for video compression? Yeah, I did read that this morning. Rick said audio is fantastic. Oh, that's good. Thanks, Rick. Regarding the chip shortage, I was on pre-order for an A7 IV since January this year and was not expecting it till June or July. Then in April, suddenly my A7 IV shipped. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Well, congratulations. Jealous. That's such a great camera. Rick said Sony 100 megapixels in a medium format. Maybe. I mean, there is still rumours that they could do that. Remember, the medium format sensor in the Fuji cameras, I believe, is audio. I'm reading Phil's comment. Is a Sony sensor. So everyone's saying the audio is fine. That's all right. Jade Filmmaker saying, sorry, guys. It's all right. I fixed it. I'm watching on my LG 4K OLED, and the picture is nice at 2160p. Well, that's good. I'm glad it's really nice and sharp. So it's worked today. On YouTube, I can get this thing here, and I'll show you. I get this. I'll have to go back to that super source. Oh, no, I don't actually. I can just go to there, Mac 1. Let me just switch here. See, I can check the stream health over here, and basically I can see that the stream is healthy and no data. I've also got this device too that tells me my data rate that I'm downloading on. I think I can bring that up as well. Where is that? No, it's taken off, I think. Yeah, it's not there at the moment. I think I've taken it out. I can also show that as well. But I'm using, it goes up to 30 megabits per second at the moment. I've got a fairly decent download and upload speed here, so it's working fairly well. So I'm glad about that. Rick also said the sound is perfect as well. And that's about it. I'll just wait for a couple more minutes, see if anyone else has any other questions. Check out Ike's video too, because it'll be interesting to see. Ike, I just don't you never get the notifications anymore. It drives me nuts. Like Phil releases videos as well, and Ike, share them in the photography videography school. Share them in there. I know Phil did, because when people share good stuff on there, I post it to the top too, which, then people sort of see it a little bit more. So post it in there, because there's something with the YouTube, it's just not giving out notifications anymore, and it's a pain. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the Sony lenses go on your Z9. I bet you're loving that camera. It's just so great. I wish they'd had something like that when I moved over. I never may have moved, but it's certainly, it's probably one of the best cameras that's out there, if not the best of its type that's out there. So I'm sure that Sony probably will bring out a A1 or, an A2 that's probably going to match it or beat it in some areas, but it's going to keep going like that. But it certainly was a great release from Nikon, and, they've got to be congratulated for that. The General said the 4K is fantastic. My 32-inch Acer monitor means I can count those noses. I better make sure I keep getting them cut. I know. Oh, no, let me switch back too, because why did that... Let me just go back to me, because I was sat on that screen, wasn't I? Yeah. I forgot to switch back. Luckily, I should check that monitor. I love that you're saying that the nose hairs. The jaded filmmaker says YouTube hates him. I think it hates all of us. It just, you never ever get the notifications. I don't know why. It just, you know, drives you crazy. I used to get Ikes all the time, and now I don't get them hardly at all, which is a real pain. So, question, do you think the stacked sensors are basically going to be the future for all camera sensors eventually? It seems to be taking a very long time. Yeah, look, probably. It may be. It's definitely an advantage when you go stacked sensor. It definitely is for readout. I mean, I think probably, but the cost at this stage is still probably very, very high. So I think it's going to be that way. I mean, look, there was rumours for a while we were going to go global shutter, but I don't think. I think as the stack sensors get better and better, the reason for going for global shutter is not really there anymore. So yes, I do think the future probably will be stack sensor, but we just have to wait for costs. And I think the semiconductor problem shortage has been an issue with that, and like costs at the moment are expensive for everything, so it probably hasn't come down like they expected it to. If we didn't have this chip shortage and things like that, we may have already been seeing many more cameras with a stack sensor as well. I mean, when you think how long ago the A9 came out, and really, there's so few of these stack sensors out there, I think it's probably only a matter of time before it happens. So yeah, I'm hoping so, because there's definitely big advantages with the stack sensor. So that's it. Well, I'm going to go and get my morning coffee. It's 10 a.m. as you can see up in the chat there. Like I said, next week I will show you my studio in there. Love it if some people could just pop in and join the membership. I am going to try and start to do things on the membership side of this channel as well. You get little badges and things like that at this stage as well, but I'm going to start doing lives specially just for members, and I'm going to do some studio shoots and things like that for members too. So just consider it anyway. Like I said, I never push anything. It does support the channel. Apart from that, I've got a video coming up in the next couple of days. I've got one, I think probably tomorrow or something. It may not interest you from the photography side, but I'm talking about a new hub that was sent to me, a Thunderbolt hub, so I'm going to be reviewing that as well. I've still got stacks of gear to sell, and I'm going to be putting a few more things up this week. So if you are on the lookout, particularly in Australia, stay tuned, because I'll post those in the Facebook groups and things like that. I might even post a list in the photography videography school so people can get a bit of a thing before anyone else. So apart from that, everyone, I'll see you all in the next live video. So now I think I have to switch over to the Hyperdeck, I think, and let me bring up this. Oh, didn't switch, naughty boy.